Well, President Biden wants to bring back the federal ban on assault weapons, but there is little or no chance of getting that through Congress right now. And the guy who wrote the original ban on assault weapons knows why.
I'm the guy that originally wrote the assault weapons ban.
That ban from the 1990s defined assault weapons as semi-automatic firearms with certain characteristics of military weapons. And the government produced charts to show what those certain characteristics are. Well, the gun makers back then simply made minor changes to evade the designs on the charts, creating loopholes or workarounds, and the ban expired in part due to the challenge of defining what an assault weapon is. And that brings us to require background checks on all gun purchases, which is already passed in the House.
I've already committed to bringing universal background checks legislation to the floor of the Senate.
And his fellow Democrat Joe Manchin has already committed to opposing those plans that are passed in the House, which leaves Democrats at least 11 votes short. They may have a better chance at expanding background checks on commercial sales, but a bill requiring universal background checks does not have the votes. And this should all sound familiar because the politicians on both sides have gone round and round in this debate of how to reduce mass shootings for years.
And every time there's a shooting, we play this ridiculous theater.
And as they play it, they just recycle the same canned lines.
I don't believe we have a gun control problem in America. I believe we have an idiot control problem.
Year after year.
We need more idiot control.
Word for word.
We do not need more gun control. We need more idiot control.
And they play this, as Ted Cruz put it, ridiculous theater because they don't know what else to do. Because they don't know or can't agree on what's causing mass shootings in the first place. If it's all about easy access to guns, you have to ask, why is violent crime, including gun crimes, going down year after year, while the murder rate, including shootings, is mostly going down year after year? Now, last year was an exception, but let's hope the jump in murders in 2020 was an anomaly tied to the pandemic and economic meltdown.
The real challenge here is mental illness.
That certainly appears to be a factor in some mass shootings, but many, like the Vegas killer, had no history of mental illness. And others, like the Parkland shooter, reportedly got mental health treatment. And besides, if it's all about spending more for mental health, you have to ask why all the extra money we're committing to mental health year after year has not reduced mass shootings. Which is why politicians on both sides of the aisle have pivoted to calling for more red flag laws to give government more power to take away guns from individuals flagged as threats.
Identifying people in advance who have the capacity and the interest in carrying out these atrocious attacks.
Without a red flag law, you cannot remove guns from someone unless you get them adjudicated, mentally incompetent, or until they commit a crime and can't pass a background check. And red flag law allows us to get ahead of it. You have to go to court. Okay, this isn't just willy-nilly. A lot of people are concerned about that. There is due process. It's strong due process.
But in states like Florida that already have red flag laws, we've seen how that can lead to mix-ups. For example, the state wrongly ordered this man, John Carpenter, to surrender his firearm because he had the same name as a drifter who had been flagged as a threat.
He's 110, I'm 200. I think that's brown eyes, I have hazel. Says black hair or whatever. No hair.
So which John Carpenter are you?
The innocent one.
Now, in addressing the rash of mass shootings, former prosecutor Bob Diekel says it's a combination of things, including something in many cases the politicians on both sides often miss.
A motivation to go out in a blaze of glory.
On that point, science journals and research have tied mass shootings to misfits who seek revenge and fame. In a nation unique from many others for its growing fixation on fame within our culture and our media.
That's the easiest way for a nobody to achieve notoriety, is to commit some sort of a horrible act.
Diekel has handled mass shooting cases, but is best known as the lead prosecutor of serial killer Ted Bundy. Diekel says a serial killer like Bundy kills more or less as a hobby, while mass shooters are driven by rage and attention.
I can't get a date, but I can get a whole lot of attention by going off and killing a bunch of people.
And people unfortunately play into it. Look at this. These are stacks of fan letters intended for the confessed Parkland shooter. It appears to be mostly teenage girls or young women fawning over him, sending selfies and bikini shots. And we know what the Parkland killer was thinking about after his massacre based on conversations he had with his brother at the jail.
That his face is everywhere and his name is national. There is discussion of starting some sort of pen pal or fan club and how many girls he is capable of attracting, referring to his brother Nicholas.
And now with a toxic brew of social media, it all gets amplified. On one hand, it fuels and elevates extremists to project rage, conveying a warped sense of how men act. And on the other, it pumps out an endless stream of celebrity news. Well, Deacle says that's the part that's changed, the part that rarely comes up in recycled debates, that may be the hardest part to address.